Hey, welcome back to the Big Rant Show. As always, thank you for joining me. If you could, hit the subscribe button down below. Let's get right to it. Have you heard of this controversy involving Kevin Hart? You know, the actor, comedian Kevin Hart. Apparently, some 9 or 10 years ago, he made some homophobic tweets. Rather offensive to a lot of people, especially to the LGBTQ community. And they were awful tweets. I'm not going to sit there and deny that. I'm not going to sit there and say that they were not terrible tweets, because they were. One involved a tweet of him being worried that his son was going to be gay and all these things. He'd have to do whatever he could to prevent his son from being gay. And then some others where he was, calling people by the F word, stuff like that through Twitter. And these are terrible comments. These are things that can be very hurtful to people. And I get that. And I totally am against anybody that holds those views. I don't support anybody that thinks that, gay marriage or gay marriage equality should not be legal. I do not support anybody who is against that. I do not support anybody who is not a supporter of LGBTQ rights. Now, I was not as adamant of this 10 years ago. I voted for a presidential candidate who, at that point, had not supported gay rights, had not supported marriage equality. Back in 2008, I voted for Barack Obama, who had not shown any support for the LGBTQ community. And much like he evolved on the issue, I evolved on the issue even further than I already was. Ever since I can remember, I've been a supporter of LGBTQ rights, as long as I can remember. I can't remember a time in my adult life where I did not support equality. But I have in the past supported people who in the end did not support marriage equality or equal rights at that point in time. Now, luckily, people like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama both changed on the subject. They both evolved. And I believe Kevin Hart is one of those people who has done the same exact thing. He made these terrible tweets. He's even apologized for them multiple times over the last few years. Now, I understand some people out there may have never seen these tweets before, never heard about them, and never heard him apologize for them. But I have to ask, how many times and for how many years does someone have to apologize for something they said or did that didn't physically harm anybody? How long do they have to suffer for something they said, something terrible they said 10 years ago? How long does someone have to go through that? How many jobs does a person have to lose? How much money does a man have to lose before he's paid his debt for something he tweeted 10 years ago? You had Mr. Gunn over at Guardians of the Galaxy, who got fired for tweets he made over 10 years before. You got Kevin Hart, who's now no longer the host of the Oscars, because at first he refused to apologize again for something he'd already apologized for. Now, the thing is, people are like, well, why didn't he just delete these tweets? Well, maybe it's because he was owning up to the things he had said. Maybe he wasn't a chicken shit. Maybe he wasn't scared to let people know that he was that guy at one point. But he has changed. As he has said, he has evolved on that issue. He's evolved as a person. He has changed as a person. Now, personally, I don't believe he should have, not gone through with the apology. I know he had already done the apology before, but I think that was a big stage for him to give the apology. If he could have given it maybe in his opening remarks at the Oscars, an apology, and showed that he does support those, people of the LGBT community now, and how immensely sorry he was for the person he was 10 years ago, I think that would have gone a long way. Sadly, he chose the other route, and sadly, of course, they went the other way with it. They're going to pick a new host. He's not going to be the host. He put out a video or a tweet yesterday, stating that he's turned down, or he's walking away from and turned down the job of being host of the Oscars, so he doesn't, take away from the other artists that are going to be there the day that the award show is supposed to be about. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't really change anything. People still have a negative view over something this man said 10 years ago, even if he is not the same person today. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think? Do you think somebody should be held to account for their entire life for something that they've done or said in the past? Especially something they've said on social media or in a tweet 10 years ago. Do you think they should have to suffer their entire lives for a bad tweet they made, a decade plus ago? Do you really think that a person should go without being able to make money, have a job, or do anything publicly because they made a mistake? I'm not talking about major things. I'm not talking about committing murder or whatever, or anything like that, or doing something that causes people to, mayhem. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about things as simple as a social media post. Could I see you being punished at the time that you do it? Yes. But I don't think people should lose their jobs over tweets, unless it's just something so abhorrent. But this political correctness BS needs to stop. And one of the jokes that he made, and one of the tweets he made, was a joke from a bit that he did. And a lot of comedians have similar bits. So you want to go after Kevin Hart, you're going to have to go after all comedians that have ever made an off-color joke. And that I do not support. I cannot support this mob mentality of attack everybody. Blame everybody for, over and over again. Never let somebody move on. Never let somebody evolve. Because all you do when you attack people with mob mentality, and when you attack them, what you do is you force them back into the corner that they were already in. You cannot expect people to evolve on an issue or change on an issue when all you do is beat them back into the corner that they were in. We have got to stop this in America. We have got to stop being so melodramatic, so dramatic, and so pathetic with our political correctness. As I've seen it read before, it's political correctness run amok. I don't believe you have to be politically correct. That's the reason this channel exists. I'm not always politically correct. Hell, I'm not always correct. But I try not to follow mob mentality and begging for people to lose their jobs. Now, I did put out a video last week because I thought it was terrible that a group of administrators barged in on a child using the restroom. I don't care what the reasoning was. I don't think you're supposed to sit there and barge in on children using the restroom and then sit there and stare at them while they're trying to do their business. I have been told repeatedly by people that I am wrong on that story. Well, the facts have yet to come out, and as I said in that video, I stand by it until the facts change. The facts are, the child was not arrested, there was no EMS called, so it wasn't a health issue, and no firefighters, no police officers were called. I'm even told by people that they just have a different way of dealing with people when it's marijuana, so that's why the cops weren't called. I don't know of a high school in this country that doesn't call the cops when a student has brought drugs to school. Not even mine, when I was growing up, did that. But maybe it's the truth. But we will see. But anyhow, I don't believe Kevin Hart should have lost this job opportunity at the Oscars. He said it was a dream job for him to do. I don't think he should have had to apologize again, but I think maybe it would have been in the best interest for him going forward, as well as the Academy. But you got to stop this mob mentality of attacking people for something they said 10 years ago. If you want to punish them or be upset about them when they do something, fine. But when somebody says something a decade plus ago and they've changed since then, maybe you should give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them a chance to show that they have changed. Give them a chance to show their evolution. Now, I don't understand why people have to evolve. Maybe it's just because of how I was raised that, I treat everybody equally. I believe everybody deserves the same equality, the same rights. If you're gay and you want to be married, then dang sure you should be able to do it. I also believe if an adult wants to go light up a joint, they should be able to go do so. It's not my business. If you want to go smoke a joint, that's your business. Now, if you want to go sell that joint to a child, different story. If you want to go do drugs, that's your fault. That's your issue. But when you start hurting children, then I have a problem. Should you be selling drugs, like marijuana or anything, to children? Hell no. But should an adult be able to have it? Sure. Should two gay people be able to get married? Yes, they should be able to. Should a person be able to live their life as a transgender person and live their life safely without bullying, without being beaten up or hurt or murdered? Yes, they should be. But we can't move on as a society. We cannot better ourselves as a society if all we do is continue to browbeat people for something a view they held 20 years ago, 10 years ago. My views were a lot different when I first left high school. In fact, I was a conservative when I left high school. I was a libertarian. It's also the same roots that bases my legalized marijuana stance comes from. Is I used to be a libertarian. A lot of my views, I've melded a lot of my views into the views that I have today. Yes, I see myself as a democratic socialist. Yes, I see myself as extremely liberal. But I still hold a few just core values. And I think we should all realize that not everybody's the same. Sometimes people have to change. Sometimes they have to evolve on issues to get better. And that's how we have to do as a country. 10 years ago, there wasn't a lot of support for equal rights for the LGBTQ community. Marriage equality wasn't even a thing in 2008, 2009. A lot of people have evolved on the issue. A lot of Americans have evolved on the issue. Most Americans now believe that it's none of their business what people do in their bedroom. And let's leave it that way. As well as I believe we need to forgive people for things they've done in the past. If they've said something terrible in the past and they've apologized for it, let it go. Move on. Find something else to bitch about. But anyhow, I've been your host, Jacob Keck. I'll see you down the road.